verse 5, we're going to be moving into the message proper. With his introduction in verses 1 through 4, remember that Paul has established his authority for writing as the revelation of God and the authenticity of his message as an apostle. He's identified Titus as the recipient of his letter, but intends for his words to be used to encourage all the believers under Titus's care. Verse 5 reads, "For this reason I left you in Crete, that you would set in order what remains and appoint elders in every city as I directed you." Now, with this verse, we are getting some historical background and context for Paul's writing, as well as who Titus is beyond just being the recipient of the letter. If you've been watching this video series in sequence, remember that back in verse 4, I suggested that we should interpret Paul's referring to Titus as his true child in a common faith to mean that Titus is someone Paul trusts enough to entrust the completion of his ministry tasks. I think verse 5 here makes a strong case for that interpretation. Titus is clearly someone Paul respected enough to leave in charge of organizing the churches on the island of Crete. For geographical context, Crete is a mountainous island in the Mediterranean Sea, located about 100 miles south of the Greek mainland. The island was an important cultural center in the ancient world, a prosperous city under Roman rule, so it would make sense strategically for Paul, the apostle ministering to the Gentiles, to want to establish a presence on the island. We get the sense that Paul's work on the island was unfinished upon his departure, as evidenced by his wanting Titus to set in order what remains. Now, what that specifically looks like, Paul says, is the appointing of elders in every city. So with this verse, we've gotten some good historical details, and we now have some context for Titus's mission. We see now exactly what Paul has charged him with and what was going on with the church on the island of Crete towards the end of the first century. And we'll pick up our study with verse 6